Hello, people. This is day 5 of this wonderful challenge, and all along, it has been full of a lot of knowledge and a lot of revelation, so to say. So, I want to believe that you have been having a nice time on these channels, and this particular class is not going to be an exception. So, please ensure that you commit at least an hour a day to this journey. And I want to believe that at the end of the 30 days, you'll be glad that you did. So without wasting too much of your time, let's meet.
All right, welcome back to class. And in this class, we're going to be looking at how to handle date function in Excel. And of course, many times we have date-related data, and we need to add, some months to certain dates, and we also need to find the difference between two related dates. And so in this class, I've extracted this data from a sales data for confidentiality sake, and we are going to be learning how we can actually make the most of date function in Excel. And that function that we're going to be using now is EDATE. We use the EDATE. Now here is a sales data from a production organization, a production company. So we have the production date and we have the shelf life in months. So even if your shelf life is in days or if it's in years, so just do well to convert it to months, because this function we're going to be using actually recognizes month as the unit of measure. So now, how do we go about it? Of course, we know that for us to get expression date, having deduced the production date, all we need to do is we add the number of months to the production date. So that function we're going to be looking here using is what we call the EDATE. So we have EDATE. Of course, we have other ways we can navigate this. So we have EDATE as a function that is embedded in Excel itself. So I'll just select EDATE. Of course, I want to add 6 months to this particular date, and by default edate is actually meant to add months to a particular date, and that's the essence. However, we also have a way we can also subtract if we need to subtract. So start date is this date, then of course you can see that is in month, so I'll select this as the month, then I can close the parentheses. All right, so then I'll have this. Now you can see that it's showing something very, very funny. So which means that this particular column is not actually date formatted, because what I want here is actually date. So all I need to do is just select that column and reformat it as date. So I can either right click and reformat, or I will use my shortcut Control 1. So if I use that shortcut, automatically it will pop up this pane, and I want to change that format, the format of that column to date. So I have a whole range of date formats that I can select from. So I'll just select whichever one suits me, then I'll click OK. So then we're good to go. So once I've done this, you can see that the concept that we learned in the last class is actually helpful. So once we have done this, we can actually call up that our relative referencing knowledge and deduce for the other one. Also automatically the other ones calculated. But then we have a problem. You can see that production date is 21st and expression date 20th. And by default, if you're familiar with sales data and all of those things, you will be aware that if a particular produce was actually made, let's say on the 21st, of course the expression date is meant to be a day earlier. So by default it's meant to be 20th by default. But because we just subtracted the months and directly just like that, Excel will actually bring it the way it is. So how do we navigate this? We need to subtract 1 day from what we have. So I'll just do -1. So that whatever you are doing outside of these parentheses will actually be treated as day. So if I'm subtracting 1, that means I'm subtracting 1 day. So then once I do that, I'll be good to go. So then I'll replicate this to other cells too, and the same thing applies. So we just have that. So now if I need to, the question now is, if EDATE actually handles just addition and I need to subtract, if I still want to use the EDATE, the same, I can still use the same EDATE to achieve that particular aim. So how do I go about it? I'll just call up EDATE, all right. Okay, start date. All I want to do is I want to subtract now. If I have expression date and I want to get production date, all I need to do is to subtract the shelf life from expression date. So I'll just select the start date. Then in this case, like the other time, we only selected the month, but since EDATE actually adds, so what I will need to do is I just need to manipulate the formula later, and then I will add negative to the month. So once I do this, I'll close parenthesis. So it's as good as I'm adding -6. But in natural sense, I'm actually subtracting. So it's just a way of achieving what we need to achieve. And in this case, instead of subtracting, remember we subtracted 1 from the date to arrive at the expiration date. So since we are going back now, we need to add 1 so we can get the right result. So again, we need to reformat this, and I'll use my shortcuts. So then date, and then I'll select the date format that is of interest to me. So I select this, I have OK. So we are good to go. Then I can now replicate this to other cells. And we are back where we started from. So that's just how to navigate your way around this function. So if you have any question, or you need more explanation on this concept, you can actually reach out to us in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and also turn on the notification bell so that you get notified as soon as we drop the next video. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you in the next class.